Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you gotta get spotted. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, and we got a Federal Reserve meeting this week. Hold on. How come the music's not coming on here? We gotta get that. Okay, got that fixed. It's Monday, and there's a Federal Reserve meeting this week. And, well, first of all, volatility here for Monday, super low, 4.82 again. So and not only that, but like the first 10 minutes have been very lackluster. So yeah, but it is going to be an interesting Federal Reserve meeting. Like we're probably going to get a cut, but there's probably going to be some dissents. There is a possibility that the Federal Reserve does some stuff with the repo market and so forth. Zero Hedge has a story out last night about Cabana basically saying that they're going to have to start, pumping money back into the system again. So the Fed meeting itself could be very, very interesting. But in the meantime, super tight. Let's come in, go to the charts. So here's the S&P 500. It's, it had like a little bit of a spike and then came back down on Friday, and in the overnight, just a little bit. So like volatility has been very, very, very tight, but a slight uptrend in all of it. We got the Treasuries. The Treasuries just getting absolutely savaged in the last week. Like when they came and they retraced this, because again, we don't really know 100% what was the deal with this big move. It wasn't really prompted by any economic news or anything. And then we recovered it and I was like, okay, I'm like maybe it's okay. But since that time, it's just been little bit by little bit pushing us down. So oil coming down here this morning. Gold just okay. Silver maintaining its highs. Copper looking pretty okay. Japanese yen coming down this morning, which honestly might help the Treasuries a little bit. I do think that it is that that carry trade might be part of the reason why the Treasuries have been struggling. And then Bitcoin. Oh well, Bitcoin took a little bit of a hit, but then recovered it. So they seem to be doing just okay. Let's come back over here. Hopefully you guys are still here. I gotta check. Oh, we got 6 viewers. That YouTube changed their interface. Oh yeah, they changed the interface tons. That's interesting. And now the stream settings are down here. Interesting. But we do have viewers, so welcome this Monday. Now, remember, we are going to end earlier today, so stream from here on out is going to be going until 8 again, like we were for such a long time. But today I'm going to end it at 7:30 just so I can leave a little bit early, because I don't exactly know how long it's going to take me with traffic to get to the new day job. Have to go through the point of the mountain area, which in Utah is notorious for being really bad traffic. Hopefully that's only like 10 minutes. So I'm probably going to get there like 45 minutes early, but this first day, it's important to be there on time, right? By the way, We got to do a little bit of fixing up here, I think. Oh, that's interesting. Notifications are do not disturb is on. I kind of want to get rid of that icon, but that's okay. We'll just flip it here. Sources, marquee. Yeah, that's right. Fix that. There we go. So, I don't even remember what it was that I used to fix some things, but I found a utility called Windhawk that let me change the clock up. So I sized the clock up so that it was like the whole height of the taskbar. Is that pretty good? I think that's a nice improvement. I like being able to read that time really easily. And then there was another application. I can't remember what it was called. It's like something for everyone. There's the name of some interface that they had in Windows 10 that had like the transparency and everything. And basically it enables that. You updated JS? Oh, I updated Jigsaw. Yes, I did. I really don't like the black. Am I the only one that is just really perturbed by the black? You know, I don't have any other complaints. So, yeah, you have yet to do it. So here's the thing. They released like version 6, and then there was a bug in version 6. And so they released a version 6.1 that basically turned off the GPU for the Vista charts. So like the one thing that I think I get out of the update, not that I ever use it, but it would still be nice. Well, it's not just the only thing that I get out of the update. Isn't that like the biggest reason for the jump from version 4 to version 6 is the newer Vista chart? But it's disabled in the current version. So otherwise I'm kind of sitting here like, I don't understand what the point is. It's just it's a different color, and that's like the only difference. Oh man, can I find, is the name of the app no, that's, oh, Mica. It's called Mica for Everyone. And Mica for Everyone makes the corners square. Which, interestingly enough, doesn't work for OBS, but it's working for all of my other applications, so I'm not going to complain. They do have, there's like the news thing. Which, by the way, we could come in, let's, Jigsaw, if you go to like Journalytics, they have this interesting little setup in there now. I can log in here. Market intelligence. S&P 500 futures showed modest gains in the overnight session, aligning with positive movements in correlated equity markets amid optimism around upcoming Fed policy expectations. The most impactful recent news includes anticipation for the Federal Reserve's rate decision next week, with markets pricing in a likely 25 basis cut, alongside reports of manufacturing PMI contracting to 48.2 in November, while services PMI expands to 52.6, signaling mixed economic signals that could influence rate path outlooks. Overall sentiment leans positive, driven by Fed policy expectations, overriding minor growth concerns as per the driver priority hierarchy where central bank actions dominate. And then it's a session themes, trading strategy, key risks. So nothing too big, like nothing that I don't already give you guys. But I'm wondering, like, it seems to me like this is generated by AI. Like the way that it reads, sounds like AI to me. Is it just me? I think that they're doing AI. But that's a good new feature that they have. Like, especially for beginning traders, that they need that so bad. The people that aren't smart enough to find my stream and listen to me and come in early when I talk about what's going on, they need that. So that's a really good feature. But it's part of the web interface. It's not part of the desktop platform. So I'm just kind of like, not quite sure what they're doing. One thing that we did look at, where is it? Oh, it's right here. It's another weird thing is that the control panel doesn't seem to like to switch screens. What was it gonna do? Oh, I was gonna open up a chart. Okay, so if I open up a chart here and I go to like indicators, oh my gosh, there are so many indicators now that I have no clue what they're about. So many of them, I have no clue what they're about. What is the Shin intensity ratio? STARC bands. Were those always there? Were those ones there before? I don't know. And do they don't have a, oh, they have a volatility cone. Okay. Wait, what is volatility cone? Probability to, oh, you have to put it in there. Oh, actually, it looks like it is kind of like what ours does, though. That's interesting. Anyways, so I think that they've done some work on charts. The charts work really smooth. So, whatever. Let's come over to the Jigsaw server and say and complain about the color. Yeah, I figured out. So to recap, you can use Mica for everyone. It gives you, let's see here if I can, oh, maybe I have to double click it. Yeah. Mica for everyone is an application that has a corner preference drop down. And you can also make it so that it has like the glass transparency and all that sort of stuff. Although I have it off because depending on what you set it to, it seems to break NinjaTrader. So I have that turned off. And then I used Windhawk for my clock. Oh my gosh, guys, on Friday, I spent like the whole rest of that morning working on the clock, trying a bunch of different like fonts and things like that to try and make the clock look better, because I really like the digital look, but I kind of wish that it was a little bit more prominent, like the spaces between the digits were bigger. And I did find some fonts that did that, but then they would have other problems, like that the colon would be off center or weird things like that. So in the end, I just ended up making it really, really big. And I feel like it was such a waste of time. It was really such a waste of time. But, you know, whatever. So interestingly enough, like Jigsaw has one. They have like kind of like a 16 segment display. But it's so tiny that I can't, like, can barely read it. And I can't see the colons between it. So I'm sitting here like, which part is the hour and the minute now? Huh? Okay. But let me tell you what, the square corners makes such a big difference. So got that all to work. Yes, good luck with the new job. Thank you. Today is the day. I tell you what, like, the whole weekend was just like, I just want to get on with it, you know? Like, so I don't know if it's like the time of year or the platforms, or if it's just me, I'm just in a different space, but like the internet was so boring this weekend. So you know what's actually, there's something interesting going on TikTok right now. There was this influencer girl that, you know, had gotten really big and is a millionaire from it and all that sort of stuff. And she made a video complaining about how half of the time when she posts stuff now, her TikToks get no views. And everybody got like really upset about that. Because like half of her videos now apparently are, okay, I did another makeup haul. Here's the $1,000 in makeup that I got. Or here's a new clutch I got that is worth more than your monthly mortgage payment and all that sort of stuff. And so tons of people were just, yeah, I don't watch you anymore because I don't like you anymore because you're flaunting your wealth in our face and we don't like that. Which, good, right? Well, I thought it was an interesting change because I can remember a time where I felt like that the only way to become popular on TikTok was to convince everybody that you were already rich. That like showing that you were rich was the thing that caught people's attention and got you views. And that there was some people that very much appeared to me to be dirt poor and were just kind of faking it. You know? Like there's this one guy, bless his heart, like he does have some good content. And it is trading related stuff. And I don't think that he understands the market like the base level. And I kind of feel like that his understanding of the market is he doesn't know what he doesn't know, right? But he does make algorithms, and it does look like he's found some stuff that's pretty decent, at least on the high time frame sort of a thing, by using alternative data essentially. And he's always talking like, oh, you know, I'm a professional at this and I've made so much money and yada yada yada. And then you look in the background and it's just a white wall, and I'm like, sure you are, Bob. Sure you are. Right? Like there's definitely this bias that we all have, and I can see it in myself, where like we look to see like, has this person had past success before I want to listen to them. There's this strange thing that's like the quality of the content is not the thing that actually causes people to trust you, which is really problematic. I really think that's how a lot of scammers have taken advantage of people. But good. It seems like it's changing. Now you do that and people aren't as interested. But I do kind of wonder, because this seems like it's an across the board thing. Like every creator is struggling with this, where sometimes they have videos that it's like the 300 view jail, that video just doesn't take off. And I've kind of been thinking that if this continues the way that it's been going, that you're really going to see the creator ecosystem change. Because what I see right now is it used to be that there was tons of people making content and trying and having various levels of success with it. And then when TikTok kind of consolidated, because the algorithm is kind of more on a per video basis, you don't really get an audience. And that really changed the incentives for a lot of creators. A lot of creators, it was just like, well, that's not a very good living for me. And they gave up. Or so many of them really switched and focused on other platforms. Like, I think that's one of the big reasons why Substack is doing so well. I'm not quite sure why Patreon kind of died down. Maybe it was because a lot of the people that wanted to use Patreon ended up using OnlyFans. I don't know. But like, they've moved to those platforms where they can monetize their audience and have their audience and get paid for their subscribers, because TikTok wasn't giving it to them, right? So that's been going on TikTok. And I kind of wonder, is this just because TikTok as a platform is actually just dying? Because I would get on it and I was like, you know what? I'm just not seeing interesting stuff anymore. It's just kind of like all the same thing, and it's not interesting anymore. So then let's get on YouTube. Now, all of the recommended videos on YouTube are kind of boring. I could play games on my phone, I guess. Now, games on my phone just don't do it for me anymore. I've kind of realized that for a game, like how much the competitiveness of the game would drive me. And when I don't really see any future in the competitive nature of that game, is just hard for me to get into it now. Except for the ones that like I did as a kid, and it's just like the movements are ingrained into me, you know, then I stick with those ones, right? But I ended up just sitting with my wife on the couch and watching Hallmark videos. Can you believe that? And you know what? I kind of felt like the Hallmark movies were pretty okay. You know how it used to be like Hallmark movies were like the dumbest thing ever, because everyone was like, you know, big city girl goes back home and then she falls in love with, you know, the hometown hunk or a local store owner or somebody like that. And then she decides to dump her big city boyfriend and pick up the new hometown boyfriend, sort of a thing. And that's like every Hallmark video. I think the genre has become self-aware. Because none of the Hallmark videos are like that anymore. In fact, none of them feature any kind of a like mate competition sort of a thing where, like, you know, she's with one guy and she leaves him for another guy, or there's two guys that are competing for her attention. Like this one, the one that we watched that was kind of interesting was like these two people, they were staying in the same hotel, but they couldn't check in because the hotel computer systems were down. So they were basically forced to do a date. like the hotel said, well, but we have this other stuff going on, so you can go and do that. And so they go and do that together, and they have the most amazing date ever. And they don't exchange numbers because they find out that they're going home on the same flight. So they'll see each other tomorrow, right? Except for that the guy sleeps in. So then the whole movie is just them trying to find each other. They both really liked the date, and they both go like above and beyond to try and find each other, and eventually they do. And that's the movie, right? So there's no like, there's not any of this. I'm with one guy and I leave him and I go, and there's not any of this like, well, I'm not sure if I really like him, but then eventually I do get into him. There wasn't like the whole that's going really, really well, but then somebody feels betrayed for some reason, And so they break it off, but then eventually they decide it's okay and they get back together and that whole drama. Like none of that. It was just the two people really, really liked each other and did everything they could to get back together. It was great. I enjoyed it. Big shows are horribly predictable from certain studios, just like one of the talked about big reasons for Shrek 3 being delayed a year was everyone fully guessed the entire plot online. Oh, really? Are you talking about the new one that they're working on right now? Yeah, that's funny. Well, but there is definitely a thing that's like people are kind of catching on to the I would say that people are kind of tired of wokeness in their movies. And there seems to be like this just jarring shift away from that right now for some reason, which, okay. Dude, what was, so my son upstairs is starting to become the autistic son. Why am I saying upstairs? He's up there sleeping right now. You guys need to know where he is. No, you don't care. Okay, my autistic 5-year-old son is starting to get hyper into Legos, like super, super into it. Like now you can just, he will take, a phone or whatever. He wants to have a video on, but he will just sit and watch YouTube videos and play with Legos literally all afternoon, like literally all day. And you don't have to like keep your eye on him like a hawk because he'll try and escape out the front door or he'll destroy something or any of that. He's just really, really, really into Legos. And he will insist that my wife play Legos with him, which she really likes Legos. She's always really liked Legos. This is one of those things where I'm like, I kind of think that the autism is the combination. I think you have some of it in you that I didn't realize until much later. She loves the Legos. And sitting on the floor playing Legos all day, that kind of sucks. I mean, like that hurts your back eventually. So I was like, you guys should get a Lego table, or we should just go and find like a kitchen table and convert it into eventually. Like I think that an ideal table would have like a edging around the edge so that the Legos don't fall off the table, But so we went to a place in Utah called Deseret Industries, which is basically a Goodwill. It's a Goodwill run by the Mormon Church, to look for tables, which we didn't really find one. But I was looking through they have books. They have used books, and the books are like $2, right? So I found Jim Cramer's book was there, so I got that. I read that one. It's actually a really good book, the first Mad Money book. But and for some reason, there was so many books there that were like how to be anti-racist. And I don't know if that was like somebody decided they were just going to donate that to the DI because the Mormons need to be less racist or something, or if it was like people just aren't interested in those books. But like seriously, there was all of these books about it, like in the title was anti-racism. I thought it was kind of funny. People are turning away from that stuff. It was like Trump won the election and they kind of said, you know what? This isn't going very well for us. We should pivot. Kind of weird. I don't think it's going to go away, though. You know what's going to happen. You watch. It'll the whole Christianity versus Islam thing is going to become more and more, which I'm kind of like, I don't really want to. That's not an issue that really interests me, but it's becoming a thing. So I think that the wokeness will come back. Not that I'm trying to pass any kind of like final conclusion on like the efficacy or whatever of some of those ideas. Some of them are crazy, but it's just weird to watch culture shift that quickly, you know? Like, what's with that? Because I don't think I can explain that. Like, Paul's here saying everybody guessed the plot line and so they changed it. Well, that sounds like rumors, but you know, maybe those movies are just not successful and Hollywood is tired of losing money, right? But I don't think that really explains it, because like Hollywood was perfectly fine with losing money for like, I mean, it's been well over a decade that this has kind of been going on, right? They never cared. Whoever decides to flow money into the influencer sphere, Qatar ramped it up big, so now you have the right-wing sphere falling apart online over you. Oh, dude, no, I totally see that. Yeah, I like this whole what is this guy's name? Nick Fuentes or something like that. It used to be like months ago, like when the shooting here in Utah happened, right? People were like, well, now that Charlie Kirk is gone, like the next big influencer behind him is Nick Fuentes, and you guys aren't gonna like him. Well, now I do see video clips about him and things. Like I saw a video of him arguing with who's that left-wing guy that I don't like? Destiny. That's right, Destiny. And other things. And let me tell you what, I really don't like that guy. I really, really don't like that guy. Like, I don't know if those clips are like cherry-picked, but just that he would be willing to say what he does say in the cherry-picked videos are just these are not things that are like, well, but once you understand it within the context, like, yeah, there's just absolutely no way that saying these things are okay. And the big one that I see in that guy is that he is just anti-Semitic. He is just straight up everything is the Jews' fault. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens. Candace Owens has kind of gone down that pipeline a little bit too. Tucker, I don't feel like that he is like in the but he kind of toys with it a little bit, right? He kind of toys with it, like, well, you know, like Israel has done some things wrong. It maybe might not be the best idea to always just go along with what Israel wants to do. That's not always in our best interest. I still think that Israel is a very important ally, but they do make mistakes for sure. But is Qatar like throwing money into the like, I don't even think it's the right-wing sphere. I think it's just like into Western society overall, that like Saudi Arabia and Qatar have decided that they have to make more significant investments in the West because they're concerned that renewable energy will eventually make their economy irrelevant. And so they have to make all of the investments so that they are still relevant without oil. And that's why you're seeing things like them buying EA games and things like that, right? Okay, there's an I'm be careful. I don't want to be pulled into that like, you notice, like the Christianity versus Islam is definitely a storyline that I'm seeing a lot on the right now. And there's probably going to be times where we have to talk about it. But right now, that is not something that I really, really want to get drug into, because it's one of those things where, like, well, people do have some good points. Like, there are some things that I see, like policies and ideas pushed from Islam that I really don't like. But I also see a lot of like just straight up racism against it as well too. So it's just kind of like, let's just not deal with that right now if we don't have to, right? But it's that one's probably only going to get stronger. Let's see here. An interesting observation I've made with the right. Well, I think my Jews thing has absolutely ruined political discourse. It's the quickest way to turn the anti-woke into absolute peak woke. Oh man, yeah. I don't care about the topic or the points. I'm more interested in what does to the discourse and what it reveals. Yeah. No, you're totally right. Because that's what matters to us, right? Because if we're trying to predict future orders, that is a big part of that is predicting what other people are going to do. And so looking at culture and the way that culture develops is one of the ways that we can develop that intuition. It's about being able to look at people on the big scale and seeing what large groups of people do. And I think that you're bringing up a really good observation that I didn't really think of at first, which is probably one of the major reasons why we're seeing a shift is that the money has shifted. The Democrats are not putting as much money into that sort of a thing because they are finding that it's backfiring, that it's not helping them. And then at the same time, you've got other foreign sources that are starting to flood our markets with money and is starting to push discourse in other directions. Very interesting. And it turns out it is much easier to manipulate people's attention than we realize. It's almost scary. But that does not explain to me why the internet seems to have gotten boring. You know, I'm wondering if that is not like a dead internet thing. Because of AI, a lot of people don't feel the desire to contribute content online anymore because of AI. Many of the people that are contributing content are being lazy and using AI to generate that content or improve that content to some extent. And many of the commenters and so forth are not real people. They are just robots. And so, like, maybe the internet seems more boring because the dead internet is actually happening, you know? I don't think it took money to place the left as a shield in front of, say, Gaza. It's a non-white country. It's a non... Oh, no, that totally... Let me tell you what, the whole... this really all goes back to Occupy Wall Street. It's kind of funny to see some of the things that the liberals say, because the liberals will say, oh, like, we totally had it all right with Occupy Wall Street. And then what happened was the elites, they needed a way to destroy Occupy Wall Street. And so they injected all of the woke stuff into it. And then that kind of destroyed the movement. And, you know, instead of everybody focusing on attacking Wall Street, they started to focus more on racial issues. And I've seen that from people on the left a lot. And it is complete nonsense. You go back and watch, because those videos are all online. I remember when Occupy Wall Street happened. First of all, I knew that it was going to happen 2 weeks before it happened, because influencers that would like message each other on what was at the time Dig, to like dig up stories and things like that, they were all talking and preparing about it. And Gawker Media in particular was like really involved, and they had all of these articles planned, like how to get out of handcuffs and all of these sorts of things, right? And then it was all published it was all streamed and online, and like you can still go back and watch the videos where people will give a speech, and then everybody in the audience is supposed to repeat what they say in the speech, and that's kind of like a megaphone. And from the very, very beginning, Occupy Wall Street was pushing this intersectionality, anti-colonialism kind of ideology. Like, it was Occupy Wall Street is what popularized it. Is that these college people said, this is what we want to teach the rest of the left, and the Democrat Party isn't teaching it, and they used Occupy Wall Street was kind of like the origin of that, and it kind of spread from there, and then it moved over to Instagram, and then not Instagram, what was the name of that? Tumblr. Went over to Tumblr, right? Absolutely. That it was from Occupy Wall Street from the beginning, and a big part of that, like, I really think that one of the main reasons why the people in Occupy Wall Street were pushing that was because of Gaza. Like, a very large portion of woke ideology, or like one of the main drivers behind woke ideology, was Democrat support for Gaza over Israel. 100%. And they think that that was like something injected later. No. It was like the whole point. It's like the whole point. I don't think it took money to place the left as a shield for front money, say Gaza. It's a non-white country. It's a non-Christian country. It has the revolutionary skin. That one was given. The right doing it is absolutely foreign intelligence operation involving money flows. So you think that Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens are receiving money from foreign sources, and that's why they're kind of getting into the anti-Israel thing. Well, there was that thing the other day where a bunch of different right-wing influencers, it's like what's his name? Tim Cass. I forget his last name. There was an incident the past week where somebody did like a drive-by shooting on his house, which is scary. But they call him a right-wing influencer, which he's always been like, well, I'm in the center, but I'm starting to see how these things seem crazy. And so now he has become like his audience is right-wing. It's true. It's just so weird to me calling him a right-wing influencer. But there was a story that these people were receiving money, and it turned out to be like a Russian influence operation. And he was one of the people. I think Candace Owens was also one of the people. So we know that it happens. I think that it is probably the case that those people already kind of believed those things, and they're just receiving money because, and not the other way around, like that they changed their opinion. You know what I mean? But is there money involved? I think you're probably right to some extent. They're staring down the barrel of the finest anti-left argument you could ask for, an assassination of a major right-wing figure by a leftist, and they chose to go. No, it is. You're totally right. It makes zero sense. Like Candace Owens' whole like, oh well, the reason that Charlie Kirk died was because like he didn't want to support the Jews as strongly as they wanted, and so they offed him or something. Absolutely insane, unhinged conspiracy theory. And it's just like the craziest thing I think you could go down. This is one where it's like I try to keep my religion out of it, just because like what we're doing here, I'm trying to help you understand how people think, right? And if you don't have the same religious beliefs as me, then making a religious argument like that isn't really going to help. You need to come up with reasons that you believe in and that can model and explain the world really well, right? And so that doesn't help. But this is one where like I really don't have another explanation for it. I really think that that Jews are a chosen people, like it says in the Bible, and that Satan is just absolutely obsessed with persecuting and tearing them down, because it just doesn't make any sense to me the way that people go after the Jews. Like, I'm not going to say that they're perfect or anything like that, for sure not. There's definitely a thing that because Jews were involved in banking, That's a major factor, I think, where a lot of the resentment comes from people. But I still don't think that explains it, man. And I think it's just evil. So anytime I see that, you know, I see an influencer and they're saying that sort of stuff, even if what they're saying is 100% factually correct, that I think that spending too much time complaining about Jews is like a huge red flag. And Nick Fuentes in particular is just, to me, is like, I can't believe that anybody watches him. I'm kind of honestly a little bit skeptical that he actually has an audience. I do kind of wonder if he's not just being kind of pushed on everybody, that he's got like his Groiper fans and they're out there spamming everybody, but nobody actually likes it. You know? I think that part of the reason that, on the other hand, part of the reason why Charlie Kirk was becoming so successful is because he was so openly Christian. Like, I don't want to give support to the ideas of like Christian nationalism, which would be like, we should have laws that basically benefit Christians over other people. I don't agree with that. But I would prefer to live in a place where the culture is primarily Christian. Right? And I think that most Christians would. Just like if you were part of another culture, you would prefer to live in a culture that was predominantly your culture. That's just the way that people are. Right? And he was like the one guy saying that. I think that's part of why Charlie Kirk was so popular. Muslims love Jews and Christians? Well, I have not found that to be the case. By the way, welcome, Celine. I don't know, man. I have conflicted feelings about where this is going, because I'm definitely, I think it's coming out now because there was ICE enforcement over in Minnesota where there's like a lot of Somali immigrants, and they're tackling down illegal immigration from Somalia. And I'm seeing all sorts of crazy videos, like one person saying that 3,000 years ago that Minnesota was promised to them, to Somalians. I'm like, what? Okay. I saw a video where a guy was trying to make that argument. And it's kind of one of those things where there's like, I'm seeing so many people say so many crazy unhinged things. It's like, where do you even begin to start untangling all of that and, you know, dismantling the things that are false and aren't false? Like, I don't have time for that right now, you know? But I know that at some point it's going to become a bigger deal and I'm going to have to unpack it. But today is probably not the day, right? Thank you. And again, I'm not trying to like take a position on them or anything. It's just an acknowledgement of like there is a political and cultural shift in where people are talking about that now. But especially on the right wing. I don't know. Maybe the left doesn't care as much. I think, you know, part of my, like, you know, the internet is getting a little bit quiet. I think a lot of it is Reddit. Something's changed on Reddit, man. Like, it used to be, there was, you know, Donald Trump sent ICE into Minnesota, that, like, Reddit would just absolutely lose its mind. Every post on Reddit would be about immigration enforcement. Like, literally every post. That's the way that it was at the beginning of Trump's term. And now it's like nobody cares. Like now Trump can come in and say, like, he's said some things on this immigration issue that honestly scare me a little bit. Like him saying if we decide that you being in the United States is no longer in the United States' interest, we can denaturalize you? Like, under what circumstances can we denaturalize a person? If you can just, anybody can just be denaturalized on a whim, that's scary. That's scary to me. And nobody's talking about that. So weird to me. Maybe because it was fake and just some anger. Yeah, it's like whoever was pushing the narratives on Reddit stopped putting money into it, or like people just don't like the platform. I don't know. It kind of makes me feel though like that. You know what it feels like? It kind of feels like all of the other platforms when TikTok became popular. Like, it feels to me like there's another platform that has become popular and I just haven't heard about it yet, you know? That's what it feels like to me. It's definitely exhausted me. Yeah, it has. I'm definitely not as interested in politics as I used to be. Because, you know, like when you understand the complexity of systems, right? Well, there's certain ways that we've got to go about dealing with systems to make them better. And none of the politicians are going to do that. So I just kind of know that whatever kind of solution they come up with, like something that would be really interesting to talk about would be healthcare. The GOP is going to come out with a healthcare plan, apparently, right? But it's like, I don't care, because I know whatever they're going to come up with is going to be stupid, right? And then everything else is just like shock politics and racial politics, which I'm just not very interested in. Well, I'm not interested in it because I know, like, first of all, when you start talking about that, is just, you'll make a mistake, you say something you shouldn't say. That's I'm really cognizant of that sort of a thing. That's like, I have a big responsibility having an audience, and I need to be responsible in what I say. But you know, it also it's something that like can get people excited and generate conversation, and it's not good for people. So I'm trying to avoid it, you know? And I think that we've done a good job of not having to go down that road for a while now, and that the stream has been better when we've done that. So the only solution to healthcare is to make it self-pay. Well, I saw somebody making the argument, and I was kind of, because this is something that I was just kind of suspected in the back of my mind, but it was like, well, that's never going to happen, so this is not even worth thinking about. But now I'm starting to see some people outright advocate that it should be illegal for your employer to pay your healthcare insurance. Because honestly, health insurance being tied to employment is one of the biggest problems in the current system, in my opinion. I also think there's some argument to be made there that like insurance should be for catastrophic insurance, and things like your regular checkup or you're just sick should be not covered by your insurance, because otherwise the price for those things seem to skyrocket. You utilize insurance companies, governments, or some other entity to pay for it. There will always be mitigation factors used by those entities to reduce demand on healthcare supply that will anger people in perpetuity. Luigi, oh yeah, I mean, I don't think people realize how much a desire for universal healthcare drives the left. That like really, I don't think that by and large Democrats are that pro-socialism, but they do want socialist healthcare. and that's the primary reason why they go down that path. We'll see. Okay, guys, it's 7:30. Already said too much. Fed meeting tomorrow. We'll talk more about it because I think we'll have a better, well, especially on Wednesday. On Wednesday morning, we'll really talk about it because Fed meeting is going to be super interesting. People have to pay for it themselves. Prices either adjust to affordability or that. Yeah. Well, I'm kind of afraid that the healthcare industry collapses. Some people have said, well, in the beginning, it was just catastrophic insurance. And it's like, well, yeah, but that was like 100 years ago. and there's a lot more expensive technology involved. And I do kind of wonder that if you went back to that system, there would just be too many treatments that people wouldn't be able to afford. But we'll see. I think that what's going to happen is the GOP is going to put out their plan, and their plan is basically going to be, we give people money to buy their healthcare plan. We give you a subsidy to buy a healthcare plan outside of your employer. And then the insurance companies will basically make their insurance premiums be exactly equal to the government subsidy is what's going to happen. That's what I think they're going to propose. All right, but I should get going. We should talk about this because you're getting into an interesting subject here, which is what's going to happen with all of the boomers in healthcare, because there's some real money to be made there. All right, guys, I will catch you tomorrow. In the meantime, stay